What's going on, guys? We're back with another video, and today we are going to introduce a database. So we're going to make a simple database entry, and this will, in all fairness, I would say, make your development intro to development complete, where we will have some basic stuff for the front end. We will have some basic API calling and doing some manipulations in Python in the back end, and we will be able to store information to persist in a database. And this is like the trifecta of software development. So we're taking giant leaps here, and we'll see how it goes. I thought I might make it a nice introduction to that, and it's also not going to be mandatory for you to do in your assignment, but beneficial if you do, and it's part of the optional part for passing with a higher grade. Okay, so let's get into actually making your first database entry. So I will go into my browser. I will go into search Neon Postgres. So Neon is some service provider. You can use any service provider for hosting your Postgres database, and under the hood, as you can see from my already hosted database here, it's using AWS or Amazon Web Services. So it's hosted in Amazon's cloud, but it just gives you a pretty good, easy web UI to use. So I'll make a new project called Bergs, and I'll just, I won't choose too much, but I might choose that it should be in Europe. And I'll create the project. And from here, we can see that we get a simple connection string. So this is basically all you need. This is all you need to connect to a database. So if I run this in my terminal, I can start looking like Neo, hack, put this in there, boom, 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 and I can enter stuff into my database. But right now, there's really not much going on in my database, but that you could do, and you can also see a bunch of different frameworks to do so. But we'll come back to this one. In Postgres database, so a database is a way to persist or store information, and SQL is called structured query language, which is how almost all databases run on. How you can query, like, find all the users who have their birthday on before May 14th, and that is a query you could make to a database, and you will find that could be done in the Facebook database or something. But in these type of databases, and PostgreSQL is one type of SQL database where you have relationships, but it's not important here because the most important thing here is you just have tables, where each table will store some type of entry, and it will follow a fixed schema. So that we'll have like a certain number of columns, and the rows can be dynamic. So you will just add on rows, but you know what type of columns it have and what type of format they're on. So I will create a new sorry, I will not create a new schema. I will create a new table, and I will name it user. You could imagine this might be one of the most used tables, where you just add a user. So we'll add another. So we have this ID. Every user should have an ID. You can choose the data type, but here I'm fine with just defaulting to like incrementing numbers. That's totally fine for me. So here I will add a name, and the data type for name should be text, but it's already chosen, so that's fine. So I will add another called like email. That should be text, and then I'll add like a last one column called like created at, and this one can be date. Maybe this what type of dates? It's maybe a timestamp is better. Let's do it like this. Okay, so you get a timestamp. Let's review and create. So we have this name, email, created at. Let's just create the table. Awesome. So there's no records. We could create a record here, like, oh, sorry. We could create a record here, like, have some ID, like default, and we can have name, David. Oh, wait, sorry, David. And we could have, like, test at gmail.com. And, yeah, this one, I'm not sure. We can maybe I'm not sure how you make these. But yeah, so here we made a entry in our database, and you could fetch this and you could find. But basically, this is how it would look. You have an ID, name, email, and then created at. But here I didn't add when it's created. So I can remove this. I remove this record, and we'll create our own. So what I did was I went to my connection string, like in the quick start, and I just posted. I showed the password. I just asked ChatGPT, and even I asked ChatGPT which Postgres provider he recommended. I said on Planet Scale. They even had Neon here, which I use. Okay, I asked ChatGPT just how do I connect this Postgres string, and basically what he's saying is that you have to install these scop2 library. It's the easiest way to connect to Postgres databases. So I'll just start by going to my terminal here, press Control C to terminate the run-in, and just pip install scop. So I already have a scop2 binary. So I already had it installed, and then I asked subsequent questions. How do I write to a table? And I got this code from ChatGPT where we have the URL to the database that I gave you before, but which I will take here and add here to make it sure that it's the right database. And as you can see, this is also AWS, so like Amazon Web Services. So it basically all this does is that it try is just if this fails, show this message instead, so it doesn't like crash. It just if something goes wrong, try this, and if it goes wrong, do this. So this is a try statement, but it's like only just yeah. If everything goes right, you should just run this code. So you first connect to the database. Dot connect. It's a function, and you enter the URL to the database. So then you establish the connection to the database. Then you insert into the user table. The user table we made here, right? Didn't we make one? Yeah, we made a user table here. And you enter name, email, and created at. Name, email, and created at, because ID you defaulted already. And we'll just have values. We'll have a string, and then we just have the date that is now. So like the timestamp of now. And we'll just add David Nordstrom, david.gmail, and we'll just execute this query and commit it to the database. And if everything goes right, it will just say data inserted successfully into the user data table. So I just add this in a test.py file, so I will just test it out. So I'll run Python 3 or Python, works depending on what you're on. I'll just run test.py. It says database connected and established, data inserted successfully into the table, and the connection closed. Okay, so that is perfectly fine. So we have this code, this here. And if we refresh this browser, we should see that this ID2, because it incremented it by 1, David Nordstrom, and it created at this date. So you can imagine you can store your password here, or you can store all my bank records or all my transactions or anything in this database, and it will persist. If I close this website, it will still persist. So we made a simple entry into the database. So this is how it's done. So the next step would be to do this from our Flask app, from our website. So I'll just show you the easiest way to do it is probably to define a new function where you take in some argument like name and email as the input arguments. Then you just copy paste this code. I can copy it here. I'll copy paste this code. I'll take these parts which don't need to be inside the function declaration. I'll just make them like so. I'll just indent. You remember indentation is very important in Python. Okay, so there's no here, but here instead of hard coding David Nordstrom, I'll do name here, and I'll do email here. So now I can from my Flask app here, I can import create user from create users import. I can import the function create user, and this refers to this function here. So this function, if I press command and click on it, I see where it refers to when it refers to this one, because this is from the create user file, import create user. Okay. So we can make a API route, app.route slash API slash user slash create, and then we'll have this will have to be a post request, because if you remember, get request, usually we think about those, you just get some data. Right, maybe this is actually from the here, request. Yes, this is like here. Okay, so a get request like this, you get data, whereas a post request, you post some data, you write something to database. So here we're just taking the request, we're taking the name and the email, and we're using the create user function. And then if it works, I mean, if it doesn't crash, we'll just return a message that says a user was created successfully. So let's see if this works. We'll just add a simple button below the nav bar. We'll add some button here, like here, button, like create user. Let's try it. And we'll do an on click. Like when this button is clicked, we'll just do create user and call that JavaScript function. And we'll go in here and we'll do another async function, create user. And it's important you name it the exact same thing. And we do async because we're also calling an API. And here we'll just do the response is, we'll just do API slash user. And then we'll just do the method we'll use is a post request, because that's what we were saying before. Because that's if we look here in the app, we define this as a post request. So if we run this, if we make a post request here, it will create a user. And we want to make a post request here. So and we remember that the fields we're talking about is name and email. So let's do it name and email, and let's do it John Doe, I believe is a common name, or maybe not, but let's do John Doe at gmail.com. So we'll just, when this function is called, we'll make a fetch to API slash user, but I think I missed something there. I'll do API slash user slash create, I believe is what I did, slash create. We'll make a post request. We'll await this to this route, and we'll make this a post request. So we'll write something to database. We're saying that we're sending some JSON. In the body of the request, like what the meat and the potatoes of the request, we're sending some JSON, but we must make it into a string, because when you're sending it over this protocol that is this API protocol, you must send as a string, but it will interpret it as this structured key value object. And the key value object is name is John Doe, and email is johndoe at gmail.com. So this is the first I'm running it, so let's see if it works. Otherwise, we'll debug. So we'll run debug. We run this. We go here. Create user. This button looks like shite. So let's do some class here. Like I'm using Tailwind here, so let's just do like bg red 500 text white like this. And what does this say? Yeah, I'll just use this. Yeah, whatever, this is okay. So when I click the create user button, I will look at the network tab here to see that my request is going through. We'll see if everything is, maybe it's not, I didn't see a request being made, so I will make sure here. We're running the create, on click, the create user, and this is called create user, am I correct? And do we have this script tag still here? No, we do not have the script tag. So I must have removed this script tag. So you will get another chance to see it. I will go static /script.js and do like this one thing here. Yeah, so like this. So I'll refresh the website a couple of times, and the script should now be connected, hopefully. Okay, so without, I guess I did not. Okay, yeah. So it ran and it said user created successfully, and I actually ran it 2 times because I wanted to show you and it says here, if I look in my server logs, it says data connection established, data inserted successfully in the table, data blah blah blah, and it was a request, and it returned 200, which is maybe you've seen somewhere on the website people say 404 not found, 500 gateway whatever blah blah blah. This is our response code from APIs, and 200 just means everything went well. If I refresh my database, there should be 2 new entries here, and both are John Doe at gmail.com, and they were made at quite similar timings. And yeah, so in summary, we made this function called create user, where we connect to our Neon database. We just enter name and email and when it was created into our database. Then we call this function from an API route in our Flask server, and then we call that server from our HTML through the JavaScript. So quite convoluted, but very useful. And if you know how to make this, you're definitely a full stack web developer. So huge props to you who got through this video. And this is advanced stuff. So I'm very, very happy if you are curious about this kind of stuff and look into it further. Okay, thank you very much, and have a great rest of whatever time you're watching this.